Welcome back to the live on location D1 Bike Club, whatever you want to call this, Talks with Friends. I think that's what I named it. But I got my buddy John here. We met back in the day. I used to have to train him for our shitty job that we had, but he took off into better things than I'm still stuck here. But yeah, what did you think of me the first time you met me? You're like, who the fuck is this guy?
You were a dude, bro.
Yeah, okay. It's always good to hear.
You know, and you were actually competent.
Yeah.
So that was very nice, and we're similar ages, so it was like talking to someone my age about, here's what I've learned, sort of thing, and it was the first few minutes I was like, oh shit, but then it was super chill, bro. Like,
how did you even get that job? You went through Craigslist, or how did you find it?
No, that was Aaron.
Oh yeah, that's right. Our estimate. Okay, because I was like, hold on, how did he even? Cause
he and I go way back.
Yeah, he's all disappointed. Like, I put my neck out there for him. Like, I don't think anyone's giving you repercussions because he left. Like, no one cares, dude.
I did my good thing. I did it 2 weeks.
How crazy is that I spent his birthday with him? I was like, at the end of the night, he's like,
really crazy.
Oh, by the way, it's my birthday. I'm like, oh, so you're with me on your birthday? It's like, we don't even really know each other.
I told you I got invited, but he sent me so many flyers for so many things he's doing. I got the week wrong. And so I showed up to fucking a bar where he was supposed to be having his birthday, and they were like, $25, please. And I was like, I know the birthday boy. And they were like, the fuck are you talking about? This is
like a cover? Or like...
it was an EDM show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, during South by. And I was like,
shit.
oh, okay. And then, texted Aaron afterwards. I was like, hey, man, I just realized your birthday's next week. I'll be there. And then totally forgot.
Yeah, he was on one, dude. He started walking home. And I was like, get in my car. From the concourse. He's like, it'll only be like 15 minutes. I'm like, I don't think you know how far you are. I mean, it's 5 miles, 10 miles.
Half the way?
Yeah, I was like, dude, you don't want to be walking down Riverside at fucking...
Montopolis, dude.
Yeah.
Or Burleson.
Yeah, Burleson.
Dude, Burleson. Yeah.
I was just like, bro, you're wild. And so I see him on the highway, and we pull up, and I'm like, get in the car. He's like, no, I'll get an Uber, but he's not here yet. It's just 25 minutes.
Where was his girlfriend?
See, I would assume that maybe they broke up or something. That also, I didn't even think of that until you just said it. But, on your birthday, your girl's not there at the concert with you? I don't know.
You know what? That's none of my business. He's a good bud of mine, and, they're a cute couple, so. I
saw them in a brewery in Wimberley, just randomly.
Yeah, dude, they go out all the time, and they're a cute couple, dude, and she, you should see the way she looks at him, dude.
Oh, dude, yeah, I was like, what the hell?
He's DJ Berlin.
DJ Berlin. Yeah, he sent me his music, and, if you go back to our text, it's only me asking for, a plan for a house because he forgot to make it or whatever, and then it's just the same thing, but different months. He's like, hey, this is my old DJ mix or whatever, and then he'll be like, what are you doing this weekend when I walk in there to get packets? And he'll be like, oh, man, I'm playing at this. You got to come with that fucking DJ you're going to this weekend sucks. I can spin way better than him. I'm like, I'm sure. A hip-hop DJ is way different than an EDM guy, right? So,
yeah, Aaron was also one of the top spin artists, scratch artists in the USA for a couple of years back in the 90s.
Damn.
Homie has got, legit, who was it, man? I can't remember the artist, but I was helping him promote a club opening once that he was going to be playing at, and there was some hip hop artist in the 90s that I was like, I can't remember the name. Shouldn't have,
Yeah, he's thrown some names at me that kind of vaguely, but I wasn't a hip hop head
homie was cool as hell, and me being the non-awkward person I am, I saw him hit his inhaler, and I was like, oh, what's up, dude? I got asthma too. And it was not a great introduction, but
was it even really an inhaler, or was it
vape? No, it was the little blue albuterol guy.
Because I see those ones that kids have to hide their vape. They screw the pen into it and stuff.
This was backstage, before he went out and sung, and was like, oh yeah, he needs his asthma inhaler because he smokes too many blunts.
So was he doing did he actually make his own tracks with vocals and all that kind of stuff, or was he
just fucking scratch artist shit and you should ask him one day to.
Yeah, he was pissed. I was supposed to go to that Independence Brewery or whatever he has. He said he had a whatever.
He has a residency there.
Yeah, residency. A vacancy. What the fuck am I talking about.
Opposite, yeah.
But yeah, so he's like, oh man, you gotta come over, but it's like a $50 thing, and I'm like, I know the owner of Independence Brewery, like I'll just text him, like, but yeah, he's like, oh, but like you gotta support local artists like me, and I'm like, I'm not paying 50. I don't pay 50 to go to the concourse. I'm not gonna pay for that.
Yeah, dude, and like what kind of like the only kind of support I can offer is monetary support.
Yeah.
Okay, I see how this relationship is structured.
You gotta get, like with comedy too, they'll be like, oh, you gotta get 15 people to come in, and then you can do a set or like whatever. And it's like you have to do all this extra work just to like get like homies there to like pay the bill that like you have to. Like, have you ever seen, like, the videos of guys in, like, New York, like, they're stand-ups, and they're, like, on the street trying to, like, get, like, hey, free ticket to, whatever.
I'm unaware of this, but, like,
Yeah.
it doesn't surprise me.
But, like, it's more of a New York thing. I don't think you'd be doing that in L.A. or wherever, because a little more, no one's at the mothership standing outside trying to get anybody to come in, so they'd be like, all right, we'll let you have a 5-10 minute set if you get 20 heads in here or whatever. And, like, that, like, you gotta grind.
I mean, like that's kind of cool. It's kind of like cool incentive, like, because, like, you have to... I don't think people do their best when they are given everything, and so if it requires a little bit of hustle just to like get yourself up on stage, like also like fuck man, comedians are I'm like not surprised, but I guess like humbled by a lot of like anybody that puts themselves, even if they suck, even though the band sucks, I hate their music, and everybody can agree the singer sucks, all this sucks, they're up on stage.
Yeah.
You gotta take some guts to do that, and that's where I'm just like I try to treat everybody like that I go to clap or cheer or whatever, because like I ain't gonna go up there and try to sing songs unless it's karaoke.
Well, that's what I've always thought about hockey too. Like some people get their ass kicked in a fight. That's just somebody's got to go down or someone's gonna get hurt, whatever. But just to be able to stand in there and fucking be like, I got the balls to take this big guy on that's fucking with the little guy on the team or like whatever it is, like. I give a lot of people props, and like some people will look at my dad's videos and be like, "Oh, he got his ass kicked by this guy." I'm like,
he's still fucking there.
Yeah, like he's showing up. He's putting food on the table. It's not like he's just that's in him. It's like he has to do that.
And part of life is fucking failing.
Mm-hmm.
And being trying to let it roll off your back, and like or just not wallow too much.
Well, I think like what you were saying, like with people like get it handed to, they become lazy or like whatever. Like you're saying, if a concert's already showing up, the promoter got all these people in there, or whatever, and you just handed it, you're not gonna do the same as you would if you did that 50 people work to get them there or whatever. Like I just feel like some of these kids now are like, oh, give me, like fucking, give me the world, and it's like, no, dude, you have to go and get it yourself. You can't just be handed it.
Part of life is the journey. Like it's the experience of like. I worked really hard for this. It feels, in my opinion, it feels really good when you work really hard for something and maybe nothing really turns out perfectly how you want it.
Yeah.
But like when you're reaching a pretty high percentage of like perfection, you're like, man, this is working out exactly how I saw it, and like it's just because I'm doing it. That's I don't know. I feel like that experience is something that like. Is kind of intangible. You can't explain to someone that's been handed $1 million and said, go start a car company.
Because, like, they'd be like, oh, man, like, I can't believe this comedian or this guy, they came out of nowhere. And it's like, no, bitch, they grinded for 15, 20 years, and now they're popping off because they're now 50 and they got their, their storytelling or whatever down, or their, DJ set's great or whatever it is. It's like, yeah, you have to put in the fucking work. And, like, I would love to be handed $1 million, but, like, I would rather gain it. Like, I don't know.
What's that comedy... It's that really famous comedy place in L.A.
Oh, the Comedy Store.
The Comedy Store. So my buddy Matt Nino, I used to hang out fucking sidebar here and do cocaine with him before he'd go on sets. Like, before he'd go do a stand-up. Homie, literally was sleeping on couches and then made it to the Comedy Store within like 5 to 7 years of just like, that's what he wanted to do. And like, struggled with a lot of things and, R.I.P. Matt Nino, but like,
Oh, he died?
Yeah, he really liked it.
Yeah, I feel like, I don't know, like, they always say, like, what are you going to take from tomorrow? Like, the coke right now might be great, but, like, how's your day going to be tomorrow when you're depressed and you're on the other side of this?
Yeah.
Like, and then also, like, people don't think about their hearts and stuff like that either. Like, if you're crushing coke on the daily or weekly, like, eventually it's going to catch up with you. And it's like, you got to pay that tax eventually. It might not be in the moment.
Yeah, I mean, well, there's a lot of things, but, man, there are some things that do that quicker.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
That's why, like, I just... Like, my buddy was like, oh, yeah, man, I'm going to do this weekend. I was like, you should probably test your stuff. And, like, did not. I'm like, you didn't even, like, you can just go to, like, Planet K and they'll give you one.
Yeah,
like,
dude,
it's
like, that's, well, that requires forethought.
Yeah.
And when you're going to do drugs, a lot of people don't want to think about it beforehand. It's like, no, I'm just going to be in the moment. And it's like, well, okay, That's why I'm really happy that we've got, Narcan readily available in the city now. It's, and more people are carrying it with them, which is good, and it is portable.
Did you see that, like, the first one they had? I think it's off Lamar. It's, like, almost like one of those places where you go exchange books or whatever. It was, like, not locked down, and then just the meth heads or whoever just came and stole it. And I'm like, you don't need... Well, maybe they do, but
yeah,
still.
I mean, it's not... You can't resell it. Yeah. I mean, I guess you could, but you're, but still, it's a good product. It's like, it's good to have that. If you're like, hey, I'm worried about it, so I'm going to spend $10 to buy Narcan off a meth head, at least you have Narcan, but it doesn't really come from a reputable source. That's
and would you
like
have
the vending machines.
Would you have to have a buddy administer it to you, or can you do it yourself?
Well, I couldn't tell you firsthand, but the instructions are, if you find someone,
hit them,
OD and hit them, and generally, what I understand, it can take 2, 3. You can't overdose on Narcan.
Okay.
But you can not have enough to save a life.
Yeah, I've seen some of those videos on like live PD or whatever, and the dude's just slumped, and then all of a sudden is like walking 2 seconds later, and I'm like, how the fuck?
It's a fucking miracle, dude.
Yeah, and is it a spray? Is it an inject? How does that work? I guess there's probably different versions, right?
The one that I was like, I spent a couple hours packaging, like free Narcan for some friends, and I can't remember whatever project. I don't know. I try not to get wrapped up in like too much of that stuff, but they were like, hey, I got a box of Narcan, want to like help me like put the instructions in there and do all this stuff for the vending machines. You put it in a little bag so it can be vended. So like it's nasally, like you, because you got this where you got the thinnest membrane really is like, that's why cocaine works so well up your nose and your butt system. But
damn, that's wild. And that you just like, you had a buddy that was doing that, just helping.
Yeah, one of our neighbors, Metropolis.
Yeah, because that's one of the worst things when you're at like a concert and then you're just like looking
I've heard
around.
You talk about it before I went to the concerts. Before you're like, man, I saw some people like fall, like drop.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, that's.
There was a dude a couple weeks ago. There's back stairs and there's like food trucks and stuff outside if you want to go chill or whatever. Whatever. This dude came down and another guy is by himself, like waiting in line for his taco or like waiting for his order to be ready. And this dude came smoking down the fucking stairs like way too fast, tripped and fell, and took that dude out from behind, not even knowing. Like maybe he heard it like a second before he ran into him, but I was like, yo. And then he gets up like limping, tries to get away from the dude that just ran into him. Now he's trying to be buddy with him, like, please don't sue me or like go get security or whatever. I'm like, dude, like, what the leave him the fuck alone. Like, you just ruined that guy's night. I'm sure tomorrow he's not gonna feel good. And he was inches from hitting his fucking head. Like, he, like, I don't know, just the trajectory of getting clipped in the leg turned him to his side, and I'm sure that didn't feel great either, but like that's a very small window to get fucked up on. Like, with me, I have a cut here in my nose. Went to go hit a kid, he ducks down, like, sliding on his belly, and then his feet are up, so I went face first into his skates, slit my nose open, I'm breathing, and it's flapping out. It was disgusting. And another time, I get in a fight with a dude, and he slits my eyelid open, 7 stitches. I played the rest of the game like an idiot, like, when it got stitched up, and she's like, all right, cool, let's take your stuff off. I'm like, no, I'm finishing this game. What the hell are you talking about? I gotta get scholar here, baby. Like, I'm like, this is not gonna happen. But that, like, those two things are very close to, like, really ending your career, hardship. Like, I was like, holy fuck, like, literally centimeters from my eye. And then, punch is not as bad, but just, it's too thin, I think, the eyelids. And so literally have my eyes closed and I could see still. It's like, what the fuck? Like, I was like, I shouldn't be doing this. Like, oh my god.
How old were you when you were doing that?
I think it was 21 when the eye got slit, and probably 20 when I went, or maybe 19 when
so
I
you were
in this phase. Yeah, so it was like, I'm a tough guy. It's like, you're not that tough. We're just a body of chemicals, like a bag of milk.
I mean, like, shit, dude. I mean, you're fine now, but like, I think I kind of stopped worrying about younger people, like, cause like I used to like try to like be a pretty good influence, or like even slightly a mentor or whatever. But dude,
they're gonna do what they're gonna do.
Making mistakes is like one of the best things you can do in life, as long as you learn from them.
Mm-hmm.
Or you try to learn from them. Which like we were talking about, like breaks between relationships. Like people that are chronically dating. Like I feel like they really don't get a lot of time to learn about themselves. Yeah. That opportunity for self-reflection. And I mean, I don't know if some people don't do it because they don't want to see. They don't want to like think about why the relationship ended or who they were with that person or why they wasted so much time or whatever. But it's like it's not a waste of time. It's an opportunity to kind of better yourself. Like, that space between being like, okay, I'm not gonna like force myself into a relationship. I'm not gonna like turn away a good thing.
Yeah.
But like, just taking that opportunity to reflect. And I feel like younger. I did stupid shit in my 20s, man. Early 20s, and even in my later 20s, dude. And like, yeah, like it's all hindsight shit. Where you're like, oh man, I would never do that. I used to be a rigger, dude. Used to go up 250 feet and hang points for concerts, and like, it only takes one to end your whole thing, and it's like it's not something I would go back and do again.
Well, and like to that point with the relationship thing, like Allie was like, "Oh, you're just gonna throw away the last 10 years? This doesn't mean anything." I'm like, I feel like I left you better than I found you. Got you off smoking Camel Crushes and like, whatever. Like I feel like we left each other with something, right? Like we both learned maybe through this process.
Well, were you guys happy at one point?
Oh yeah, for sure. I think
something.
like I don't know if it just like dragged out and then leaving 2 years ago. Like that's not a great move. What'd you think was gonna happen when you went back to Houston?
Yeah, but I mean that is the hope of like obviously there was some kind of comfort in that relationship, but being in a relationship is not just supposed to be a warm blanket that you put over yourself to like it's like you're two people trying to operate together in like like I don't know, I just feel like the codependency, like
that's I was about to bring that up because that's what
Yeah.
I feel like that was the only reason we're still in this. Like, oh, it's comfortable or it's whatever.
Yeah.
I get
I
my
don't wanna be
needs
alone.
met. It's like,
yeah.
but yeah, then you're like, oh shit, I'm like, especially like us, right? Getting up there in age, like, who are you gonna find that doesn't have an STD or kids at this point? If they're in the same age range as you, most likely, or they have some real bad baggage if they're not in that trajectory either. Sometimes so it's like.
Well, you gotta put yourself in that fucking pool now, brother.
True.
Like I'm in that
swimming.
pool, like and I guarantee there, like, and I feel like it's not exactly lowering your standards or anything that you have to lower your standards. It's more like you have to be more open to the human condition.
Yeah.
And we're all fucking humans, and I mean super easy, like I said, to like keep that warm blanket on and just be like, this is what I'm gonna do, but it always fucking falls apart, dude. Like
Yeah, that's the thing. I think I was just like scared to be alone or whatever, and then eventually, like when I was, after a couple months of being in a 4-bedroom by myself, I'm like, oh, this isn't that bad. You can do whatever you want. You can go to
you're
shows.
a little bored sometimes, but
Yeah.
like that's not what a relationship is there for. A relationship is there because you want it to be there.
Yeah.
Like
But yeah, I don't know. I was just like, fuck, this is the end of the world. And like you said, after a couple of days, like, oh, that's actually fine. Like, we're good.
This is tight, dude. My phone hasn't rang, or I haven't gotten a text in like 4 or 5 hours, and it's just been work. Oh, this is great.
Yeah.
I don't have to think about somebody else's problems, but like, and maybe that's what it is. Like when you're in a really good relationship, you're not worried about thinking about somebody, like helping support somebody. Like you want to do it. You're like, man, if something's bothering you, like let's fucking knock it out. Let's figure it out. Or like, like, I guess in the world we live in, like dual income is really nice. Being able to split your rent is nice. Like
God, I was like, how am I gonna afford this? Like I can never financially recover from this. Felt like Tiger King. I was like, this is gonna suck. But then you just change your life, like cut down the drinking. Now you don't have to spend $500 a month or whatever the hell I was spending on booze. And it's like, okay, that now is the split. That was probably what she would have paid or whoever the fucking roommate. Like, I've had so many people ask to move in here, and I'm like,
dude,
you got to bring something to the table.
Nice like I am eking by, but having that second bedroom, having like a space, like where it's like I could have guests if I wanted to, but like it's really nice to just kind of wake up and have my own, just do my own thing, not have somebody else's mess to clean up, or
you're not coming out and you're like trying to use your pots and pans and somebody's fucking cooking their own bread. You're like, yo, I gotta get to work here in a minute. Like I gotta get going.
Or it's 8 p.m. and they're like, I gotta go to bed early tonight. Can you keep it down? It's like, I don't want to.
That place is wild too. Like you can just hear music, things. Just it reminds me of like a New York City, but
are you talking about the Metropolis?
Yeah, it's like it's almost like feels like that vibe. Like it's just someone's always doing something. People are up until all hours of the night, sleep the rest of the day. Like I don't know.
Well, it's an artist and musician. It's an apartment complex centered around artists and musicians. So like there's extra, insulation. There's, lots of dead space in between floors. So, like, you don't get the full experience of someone,
And was that,
there.
like, so you said you've been there, what, 12 years now? Like, altogether 12 years? Like, I know you left
12
for
or
a little
13,
bit.
something like that. I got a thick fucking file.
And was it like that when you first got there? Or
That's
did this
why I moved
change?
in, man. Like,
Okay.
like it was, I saw it. I think I had a friend or someone that lived there, and, like, went over there and I was like, whoa, it's kind of like when I moved to Austin from Houston. I was like, oh, this place is pretty chill, I was 28 years old at the time, so it was nice being able to, like, it's not just that you can be loud,
Yeah.
and or like that you get to know all your neighbors. It's like, if you're beautifying the place, if you're like they don't, as long as you're within ADA compliance, you can have whatever you want on your porch. You can build a garden in the yard if you want. Like, there's plenty of little courtyards in the middle of the buildings that have their own little, panache, and it's really the first true community I moved into, where it's in like any community, you're not gonna fucking like everybody there, but, like, there's enough people there that I like and talk to, where it's like, this is kind of cool. Like, I thought I didn't like people. It's like, no, I moved to Austin and found out I just wasn't around the right people.
Yeah, because, like, when I went to that pool party with you to see that concert, whatever was going on that day, like, you talked to, like, 25 people in the pool. I was like, how the fuck do you... Like, because in my complex, I'm just like, just trying to stay away and, like, whatever. And, like, you've got a whole community there now. It's like, if you ever needed someone to help you out. It's encouraged,
man. Like, and, like, I don't fucking hang out all the time with everybody I know there. But that's kind of the cool part about it, is that, we're all adults. If I'm walking by your porch or whatever, just on a little walk through the complex because I'm, bored, like, at least if I see you out there having a cigarette or having a beer, I can be like, hey, how's it going,
Yeah.
and be genuine.
Does this place have, like, kids or anything in it?
Yeah, they actually, so the area around it has been gentrified pretty heavily, and so a lot of the larger Hispanic families, it's because it's very cheap to live there.
When you told me that price, I'm like, Jesus, dude, that's
I mean, it's not bad for a 2-bedroom, like, but they have, like, 4 and 5 bedrooms also.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they have, like, a couple of buildings that are dedicated to, like, larger units for kind of communal living. Probably not the intention to have, like, families there, but I'm totally cool with, like, people moving their families there, because, like, it is a safe space, dude. Like, it's not like it gets a little buck wild because everybody is drinking and smoking and doing drugs, but nobody wants to do that around kids, and so they try to, like, the parents. I don't know how to put it, man. It's like, where else are they gonna go? So what a cool place is a kid to grow up or to experience. Be like, maybe when you're 14 to 15, be like, man, what was that weird apartment complex we lived in that was, like, super colorful, and people were always playing music, and the parents were like, oh, that was the Metropolis, Like, can't believe you remember that sort of thing. Like, it's pretty cool. It's so I'm totally down. A lot of people kind of complain about having families there because, like, kids are loud, and it's like, we are loud.
And they're also gone for 8 hours a day at school, or whatever, they play soccer. They're not going to be there 24/7. But I get it if it's like your next door neighbor, kids being fucking loud, screaming, crying, whatever, and you're like, fuck, man, I just want to go to bed, or whatever the situation. I got work in the morning, but
yeah, like.
But if you're gonna pay,
that can happen anywhere.
Yeah.
And it's like, at least at this place, you can be loud also, and play your music, or
I always wonder, like, if people, like, because I'm sure if you were outside this house and you just see, like, rave lights going on in the podcast room, like, these people must be like, who the fuck is this guy? But I don't bother anyone. It's not 10 o'clock and I'm ripping songs. It might be 6:30, just got off of work, whatever. Like, I'm not trying to be a nuisance or whatever. But the other day, one of the kids next door, they just moved in. There's, like, 4 kids that live there. And I'm, like, looking through my front window. I'm like, what the hell is that in my yard? And it's just, like, bike marks, like, just going through the grass. And I just, like, had this old man moment where I was like, fucking kids are fucking rude. I'm like, why do you care? It's not even your house. Like,
and they're kids, dude. It's like, man, like,
they didn't do it with malice intentions.
Yell at a kid? Yeah, it's like, nah, they're just not thinking about. They have no idea. Like, I feel like I was that kid.
Yeah.
That would do just, just, I don't say thoughtlessness, but, like, it's like, it is just, like, not being aware of, like, the social cues and faux pas of, like, oh, this guy's got a really manicured lawn, which your lawn is very well manicured, sir.
Well, the front, yeah, because I was like, fuck, this HOA's up my ass every fucking day, so I did spray that stuff in the front yard. They say it's eco-friendly. I don't know, like, I don't think plants just die that quickly without some, some raid in there, whatever the hell it's got, but, like, yeah, it's... I don't want to do that to the backyard. No one's ever chirped me about the backyard. I'm sure if like the neighbors behind me saw it and called it in or sent a picture to the HOA, they might fuck with me. But I usually cut the front every weekend. The back might let it go for 2, 3, 4 weeks. Then like
People are so surprised. Oh, you're able to live in the metropolis. Where it's like, do you know what it's like to live in a fucking neighborhood?
No, dude, that Viscaya over there with the 55 and older section. Oh my god, they have nothing to do, and they're all just on cancer watch, and they just. Like, you can't park in the streets. They'll come out and leave notes on your car. I left my truck out there for like 10 minutes in front of somebody's house. I went across the street to just check, but didn't have a parking spot on that side. And I come out and there's a fucking note on my car. I was like, I've been gone for 5 minutes and you came out here, like, don't park in front of my house. Like, I'm not doing anything to your house. I'm just parked out front. Like, this isn't your street. Like,
what if I were to have a guest?
Yeah, it's like, what? And, like, that's, I guess, like, my first year and a half here, nobody was ever here, right? Just the work truck and my truck, that's it. And, like, I see, like, the people side-eyeing me, like, ooh, what's going on over there? Why is there cars here every week? I'm, like, doing a fucking podcast, bitch. Like, I'm not doing anything bad. Like, I'm just...
So, it's, like... I almost, like, went, like, bitch mode and was like, it's none of your fucking business. But, like, you know, like... In the spirit of the whole community thing, it's like, you know, fucking come talk to me.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you come meet me? Why don't you come get an answer yourself and, you know, then make your decision to be a little judgy bitch or whatever, like...
I always wondered, like, I mean, I should have probably just done it myself and walked to the surrounding area of me, maybe 2 houses on each side and across the street and be like, hey, new guy here, you know, ever need anything, need fucking milk, whatever the fuck you want to do, like, I'm here, like, I'm not a weirdo, I don't, but then, like, I just, like, no lights on, no, like, doesn't even look like anybody lives here.
Well, that means you still have the opportunity.
Yeah, it's true, too.
I mean, it's a sales technique. It's called, like, I can't remember what it's called, it's like the H pattern or whatever, where when you work on one place, you go to their neighbor and across the street and you say, hey, I'm working right over there, and I'm not a salesman. That shit freaks me out, like, because it's just, I don't know. I haven't found something that's worth selling to me, but, like, yeah, like, but apparently people don't give a shit, and it's just, like, you know, pretty innocuous just to go knock on your neighbor's door and go, hey, I live across the street, we've never met.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm a relatable guy. I feel like I can chill with anybody, but then I also, like, they've got kids. Like, we're not in the same ballpark, I guess.
You are opening a door.
Yeah.
To someone knocking on your door, and let's say they smelled weed in your house or something like that, and or like, whatever, dude. Like, they I don't freak out, and it's like, hey, we're in North Austin, come on.
Yeah, like the people across the street that I can see from like the front door, they're always out there smoking, drinking in the garage, you know, Chicano music blaring.
Like, sounds like some fun people,
yeah,
dude.
so I was like, fuck, I should probably go over there one time and be like, yo, like, bring my own beer over and be like, what's up, Kyle? I watch you guys from my front door sometimes.
Like, I figured I might introduce myself now. Yeah.
Then I'm like, yeah, man, I fuck with enough Mexicans at work all day. I don't know if I need to go over there and talk to them. And I'm sure, you know, they're like, whatever, because they have kids and stuff, too. So that's where I feel like
it might be nice to, like, have someone else to talk to also.
That's true. Because, yeah, I'm like, sometimes when, like, not doing a podcast or just chilling here, I'm like, I haven't talked to someone in, like, a couple of days. Like, this is fucking wild.
Besides at work?
Yeah, that's, like... Yeah, Raquel sometimes will be like, oh, you're my therapist. I'm like, no, I'm not. Like, you don't need to call and talk to me for 30 minutes. I'm not saying anything wrong with it. Like, that's cool. You don't want to pay for a therapist.
Yeah, it's longer than that.
Yeah, I think the one time that you were in the car, it was like 45 to an hour. I was just like, Jesus, this is getting a little strung along here. But, I mean, it's not, like, bad or anything like that. It's just like, oh, man, like, I gotta go. We're trying to get a sauna.
Well, I mean, like, you know, it also, if you're a thoughtful person, like, you consider what she's talking to you about. You want to give her, you know, a thoughtful response, and can be draining.
Well, that's like, yeah. Sometimes I'm like, she'll ask for advice, and I'm like way younger than you, and I'm not in that world or whatever she's talking about. And I was like, I don't have anything for you, but I'll listen to whatever you want to tell me, and you know, you break it down yourself, and I can be like, oh yeah, that sounds right, or yeah, that's a good decision.
Vocalizing your just like, hey, yeah, if you just need a backboard, just like someone to vomit words on, like, go ahead. Like, I got a couple of friends that are chronic just complainers, and they know when I start the clock.
Yeah.
When like they'll be like, and this and this and this will work, and these people, and I'll be like, you know, like, well, I'm gonna give you about 5-10 minutes to bitch your heart out, and then I'm gonna become completely disinterested because, like, what are you doing here? Like, are we gonna hang out? Are we gonna have fun? Are we gonna turn it around maybe, or are we gonna like just sit here and you complain, then I'll complain, and then you complain, then I'll complain? It's like, no, I don't like to do that.
Yeah, like sometimes Ryan, the producer, like he'll say like certain words. I'm like, okay, I'm done with the jokes or whatever story I'm trying to tell. He's like, oh yeah, that's true. And I'm like, that's true. You're just like throwing words out there now. I was like, all right, he's disinterested. It's time to end this. Like little keywords, but. Yeah, it's hilarious. Like his brother will come out of his room sometimes and be like, "Hey man, did you see this funny meme or like whatever to him?" He's like, yeah, no, that's great." And I'm like, "Oh my god!" Like you're just shutting him down, like. But.
Oh man, have you ever been there though? I mean, like.
Oh yeah. No,
it's
definitely.
like being able to exercise that power is such a nice thing. It may not be comfortable for everybody in the room, but man, it's the few times that you can be a little selfish and be like, "I'm just gonna not do this."
Yeah,
like, I don't want to do this with you. Like
I've told Don so many times when he calls my boss, it'll just be like, dude, like I don't need to hear about your daughter that's 11 and you're 87 years old or whatever you are. Like you're not supposed to have a stripper's daughter here, but like chill out. Is it yours? But yeah, like he'll tell me all these stories and stuff, and I'm like, oh, I'm going through a tunnel. He's like, there's no tunnels here. I'm like, yeah, I gotta go. I can't, breaking up. And like he'll get all mad because I don't like have my phone right to my head the whole time. I'm sure not great things are happening when you're trying to get a connection through a phone call. So I'm always just like just have it on speakerphone. I don't think it's a problem, but Don has it in his ear, right, with the Bluetooth.
Oh, so he's hearing all your truck noise.
It's just like he's like, hey, you gotta fucking take it off speakerphone. I can't fucking hear you. I'm like, well, that means that we shouldn't talk anymore. Bye.
Yeah. Hey, Austin's hands free.
I'm like, dude, I'm driving behind a cop. Like, just chill. Like, I have to have you in speaker. Like, fucking call me back when you get in a better area. And I never call back. I'm like, probably doesn't help me in the long run if there's a decision to be made.
Yeah. Oh, and you know what? That company is definitely going to help you in the long run.
Yeah, no, that's the one. Like, all I did, like, I count it as a stepping stone, right? It's like, okay, I need experience. All I've done is hockey. That doesn't help you here. So I'm like, I need 5 years, because everything I saw on Indeed, any website for a job is like 5 years construction, experience, even for anything, if I were to go into digital media.
The equivalent of a bachelor's to some people.
Yeah. Like, I always, like, I was in Iowa playing Iowa State one time, and there was just they would pick, like, the best, teacher speeches from the year or something, record them right or whatever and put them on there. And one guy comes on, and I was about to switch it to like a hockey game, basketball, whatever, NBA finals, something. And so I'm about to click it, and he's like, college is not about college. It's about showing a employer later, hey, I can at least stick around for 4 years, finish the fucking job or project, whatever you want to call it. And I was like, damn, that's fucking smart. Like, that's kind of a breakdown. It's
being able to show that you can be committed.
Yeah, and they're like, here, take my $150,000.
But weirdly, being in a relationship for 10 years, can't put on your resume.
Yeah, no, you can't. 10 years. That's wild. Because I was like, oh, man, I got bored easily, I think, as a kid. I mean, that's just, like, because we moved around so much or, like, whatever. It's like, oh, this is a played-out record. And then to make it 10 years, I'm like, oh, shit, like, should I shut this down? Like, I put a lot of time, money, whatever you want to call it, into it, and then it's like, but when it's the end, it's the end. You don't want to drag
also
your
somebody
feet.
else's heart, dude.
Yeah, and that's like, I feel bad. I don't know. I feel like it came out of nowhere, but I feel like should have seen the writing on the wall. Maybe
I've been on the receiving end of something like that. Not 10 years, but I was, pretty happy, and she wasn't. And well, when I say she wasn't, it wasn't the best thing to happen to her. It wasn't like she was like, and so it was easier to break my heart than to string me along.
Yeah,
and that's something you gotta give. Yeah, it's something you gotta give kudos to someone for, to be able to have the strength to have the tough conversation and be like, hey, this isn't working out for me, like, and I don't want you to get hurt. This is gonna hurt enough, but like, imagine if you just got strung along and I became more and more distant and all these things, and like that hurts. That hurts worse. And then because it always ends, it's gonna end. Yeah. It's just like, okay, it's better to do it now, cut it off like a fucking gangrenous limb, than
That's like my mom always broke it down when she got divorced. I was like all selfish on it, like, you can't. We're not like the divorced families in the neighborhood. It's like we're not gonna have a perfect family, right? But one thing she's always said is like, I'm not the same person I was when I met your dad. And I'm like, oh yeah, like you met him at like 20, like you're now 35, like it
makes a lot of fucking sense.
Yeah, and it's like, oh yeah, like if you're not evolving together or whatever, and like one person stays a cheap asshole like my dad or whatever, like you're eventually gonna be like, cut the shit, I'm fucking done with this. And like, she's like, I just wanted to be happy again and like find somebody that would treat me right or better than this. Your
Someone
dad's
that
always
makes you
gone.
happy.
Yeah, it's like I didn't think about it that way. I was like selfishly being like, no, we can't break up the family, but like there's no difference. Like,
well, man, like same thing happened with my mom. She was not happy with my dad, and she ended up marrying her high school best friend.
I always like that saying too, like if you love something, let it go, and if it meant to be, it'll come back.
Absolutely, dude. Never seen it happen, but oh no, I mean, like I've seen couples that like get back together and then break up again, and then get back together and then break up again, and you know that. But you know, I say like, time heals all wounds. I think that that's probably true where you're not, you know, angry at the person anymore, but I don't think it changes like the colors of your feelings kind of getting washed out. You know, where it's like, nah, it's just not there. And it's not as bright, not as, you know.
My biggest thing is like a spark. When that goes out and the lights dim, it's like there's no connection or like whatever you want to call it, aura.
Well, you gotta force it, dude.
Yeah. You gotta make them love you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was like, if the spark's gone, the spark's gone. And yeah, sometimes like you said, it's only a one-way street. One spark is gone on that side, and the other person's like, oh, I have the spark still. It's beautiful. It's
like I love this person. Where it's like, oh god, like, what do I do? It's like, well, you fucking end it. You do the tough thing, because I guarantee you, when the fire dies in you and someone else still has the fire, they can tell. They try to start working extra hard to make you happy and make it work, and that is just unfair to have someone go through. You know, like it's you know, just so that you don't, because you don't want to be alone, or you're afraid you're gonna be single for a while or whatever, dude. Like, it's just like, you know, they deserve to go live their life and give that energy to someone that will receive it and, you know, have their own fire.
I started getting asked by like the, you know, parents and stuff of her. It was like, hey, when are you gonna have kids? Like, when are you getting married? And I was like,
shit, I gotta end this.
Like, that's not gonna happen, because then you're really locked in. Then things get real complicated. Another human being,
fucking
like,
more lives involved too. You know, it's like, you know.
I felt bad on my new girlfriend. It's like, I'm gonna wreck this home. It's like, you know, I don't feel bad for me because I got the spark back and rah everything's great. Mm-hmm. But I was like, this is gonna fuck this kid. Not even if it's just a little bit. It's like,
well, you know, I dated a woman for 4 years, and when we started dating, she had a 2.5-year-old son, Nick, and Nick and I got along really well, and he and his me and his mom got along really well. Like, it was pretty dope. Things fell apart between us, but you know, I'm also breaking up with that kid. Yeah. If that makes sense. And at that point, Nick was 4.5, and
like prime years for connectivity.
Dude, it was really hard, and I felt really bad. But you know, like,
would he call you dad or anything, or just
no? He just could call me John. Yeah. But like, you know, it was in the sweetest little voice, like John or whatever, like, you know, like. And that kid was a cool kid, you know. But you know, just they deserve a healthy home too. And kids are intuitive. They're humans, man. Like, they can sense just like our animals can sense our anger or anxiety. You know, they're like, you're kind of freaking me out or whatever. 'Cause you're angry, you know, like kids get the same way. Like, you know, it's like, it's just not fair to anyone to, like, there's not a good reason to keep a bad thing going.
Yeah. And that's like, she's always said, like, you know, if I'm happy, my kids will be happy.
What I was going to say with that was, like, those times when things were good between her and I, with Nick, you know, like, dating someone that had a child, it was super rewarding, dude. It was, you know, like, if you've ever wondered if you're going to be a good dad, date someone with children, man. And then, like, if it works out, you're a good dad and you got a nice wife, you know, and you got some kids, and, you know, like, they may not be your blood children, but, like, if they're pretty cool, man, like, you start to get some feelings there, and you're like, fuck, like, you know, and, like, it was a very rewarding experience.
And the kids play hockey, and they have faux hawks, and I'm like, all right, what is like?
God.
Is this
like little Kyle?
You need to stack it up. I'm gonna knock it down. I was like, this is insane. Like, this is a setup. I'm like, okay.
Smile, dude.
Yeah, I'm sending them back home with hats that I don't wear anymore. I'm like, here you go. Here's your fucking favorite team that doesn't exist anymore. Here you go. Have that. It's a small little thing, but it's like I You gotta start.
Does it make you feel good?
Yeah. I haven't seen like a reaction video or anything like that, but I'm sure at one point when they say thank you, it'll be great. Like that's why I coach. It's like those are my kids, right? Like I feel like I've learned like all these kids are on different spectrums, different wavelengths. Like it's like you no kid's the same. So it's like just being able to react with all these kids for all these years and be able to calm them down or get them something off their mind or like whatever it is. Like I've already experienced all that. Yeah, they go home at the end of the week and I never see them again until the next summer or whatever it is, or even just coaching here. It's like I'm not going to see
but
it
you had
for
an
4 months.
You influence,
And like in our end of the year meetings with these kids, like my biggest things were like, hey, in this age, I didn't have to deal with it, right? But like in this age, your digital footprint can really fuck you over.
Oh.
You go and say some racist shit on Twitter, like whatever, like it'll leak into other stuff too. So we had a situation with the kids this year where the story was worse than it would actually happen. We actually got a video from it, but they took a video, put it on Snapchat. Kids were like, screenshotting it or recording it on their phone. You don't even see that now, right? You just do a little swipe down. You got anything you want, you can record on your phone. And I was like, motherfuckers, like you can't be doing that stuff and posting it online. Like you could get kicked off the team, kicked out of the program. Like you're now they're 14, so it's like
but it's still a young age to learn a really hard lesson the hard way.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, hey, but again, do you think those kids are gonna listen to you? Like, I mean, like, I had to hurt myself before I learned things, emotionally or physically.
Yeah.
Like, be like, oh, this is why you wear a helmet. Or,
like, you could see the kids in the video that were, like, the kid that's videotaping it, like, panning to the other kids and, like, what are you doing over there? Like, this is not a...
Great, now I'm involved.
Yeah.
Like, like, thanks, asshole. Like,
like, thanks for videotaping me. Like, so, yeah, it ended up being a nothing burger, but still, it's like, you guys really got to think about that. And then same with them, just in, like, a hockey career. I was like... I know you guys are going to want girls and stuff. That's kind of coming up in the timeline for you. Like, you're going to fall in love. You're going to think this is the one, the first girl that gives you attention or whatever. It's like, I think you focus on the hockey. Yeah, if you want to have a little side project with them and stuff. But, like, if you want to move to Canada or go get a scholarship or whatever, it's not going to be an easy thing to have some chick down here in Austin while you're trying to make your career or get a scholarship or whatever. And it all comes crumbling down because you like somebody.
Well, I'll tell you, man, like, in my opinion... to those kids, like, fucking have at it, dude. Like, go find love and get your heart broken.
Yeah, that's
like, you may not be the best one to tell them about that because, like, you did the 10 years thing, where it's like, man, like, I mean, it's shit happens, dude. Like, like the first time one of my girlfriends told me that she loved me when I was in high school, I broke up with her. I freaked out. I was like, "Oh God, I'm gonna hurt you!" Like, and like, but like, and I still kick myself to this day sometimes because I'm like, man, what could have been? Man, that was like such a dumb reason to do, but like that taught me to be more in touch with my feelings, and that you don't necessarily need to make a knee-jerk reaction to something because like having a little bit of patience or like giving yourself some time to think about it. You don't have to tell someone I love you too. Yeah. You can go, this might hurt, like, or whatever. Like, thank you. Well, like I let me fall. Like, you fell in love quick. It takes me a little longer, sort of thing.
Well, that's like with Willie, right? My new dog. It was like Grizz had just died a year and a half ago. And I was like, do I want to go through that pain again? But the reward once he gets to 4 or 5, 6 months where he's an actual good dog and not biting my hands all day, it'll be worth that risk. And it's going to suck in 15 years or fucking he outlives me. I don't know. But like, I was like, fuck, like should I do this? Like, I have a house, I have a yard. Like, I'm not using any of this, but I was like, that's going to suck.
Yeah, that's straight fear, dude.
Yeah.
It's, and it's okay to be afraid, but like, that's when you get the blood pumping and the adrenaline going is when you're doing something you're a little scared to do, but you're all in. Like, it's not as much so every day with a little puppy, but like, or like, when you decide you're going to be in a relationship with someone and you're like, oh, I mean, like, man, I've had plenty of short-lived relationships where it's like, yeah, let's be exclusive. And then you realize like, I don't think this is going to work out and it's gonna suck to break up with this person, but like whatever, like like it's better. Like again, it's better to just get it. I think having those experiences help you grow as a person, and even the ones that hurt. So I mean, that's just where I stand. Where it's like, yeah, don't be afraid to like pursue your dream, and if you experience loss, like love loss or whatever, like due to what's gonna like make you overall more happy, like if that person can't come with you to Canada, like you were saying, or something like that, well, you were talking about how if it's true love, it'll come back, like, and that again, my mom and my stepdad, dude, they were high school sweeties, and both married other people, both divorced, and then found themselves back together, and they're happy, and I like the dude, he's cool, like.
And like I would have kicked myself, right? Like first girlfriend, redhead. I don't really want redheaded kids, but she was like, at 16 or whatever, was like, hey, when we turn 18, we're getting married, we're having 2-3 kids, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go to Canada though, and she's like, no, you're not. And I'm like, oh, I am, because I would kick myself in the ass every day for the rest of my life if I didn't just take that chance. Like you said, you have to just take the chance. And I went there, didn't work out. Like that's okay, but like, to not even give yourself the opportunity or the chance, like, that would be a huge regret. I'd be depressed for years about that. Like, fuck, man, you stayed here for what? It's like, I don't know.
Well, that, and like, if that were the case, you'd be definitely locking yourself into something at a very young age where, like, man, I don't know the path of that future or whatever it is, but like, what if you got divorced at like 24, 25, paying child support the rest of your life? Didn't go do the thing that brought you joy, or like you were really interested in, like. So I think it is worth the risk on both ends. Like, yeah, go meet people, put yourself out there, try to find someone, like, like partner up or whatever, like, like. But if it's not working out, it's not working out, dude. It's like a job. It sucks to leave your job and be, if you don't have something, right there, ready to go. But like. Think about that way, like getting out of if you're like, I'm not going to break up with this person until I have something lined up because I don't want to be alone, sort of thing. Like it's like like being unemployed for a while, where it's like, yeah, it's a little scary, but like sometimes that gives you the time to reflect on like, what do I really want to fucking do,
I guess that was good leeway into this. Do you have a dream for yourself at one point? Like, do you want to have your own company? Do you want to work your way up? Like,
so the thing that has stuck around the longest, that I think would bring me the most joy is to at some point be able to have a small hotel somewhere in a tropical place, like 7 to 10 rooms, and has a little bar, little restaurant, kitchen area, so that what I want to get out of that is I want to be able to move somewhere where being an American gives you tax advantage in that country, and then utilize that advantage to pay people from that country well to work with me, while also working at the hotel myself. Like doing maintenance or whatever, or cooking. I love cooking. And I also love meeting people, dude. And if you had a nice place where people want to go, you'll get to hear so many stories from all these people all around the world. Like you're contributing to the community you've moved into, and I want to fucking be able to like have an open bar, and just hang out with a bunch of fucking tourists. And just be like, where are you from? Like, tell me a cool story.
Deal?
Yeah, hey, do you want me to throw on the karaoke machine? Like, you guys want to turn the lights on, dude? We can start dancing or whatever. Like, but yeah, but that's where I see myself, like maybe like mid-50s. Like up until then, I don't really have a true dream of how I get there. It's kind of I've got a lot of the whole jack of all trades thing doesn't work out too well when most people make the most money when they're very refined into one certain thing, and. But I mean, we'll see, man. I think my dream is, like I said, is to live somewhere where there's a jungle and mountains, and have a place where people want to come and stay, and it makes enough money where I can pay people well. And I've got a couple of buddies that love the idea, and one of the if we end up working together on it, there's also going to be a little hostel side. Where it's like have a hostel too, where it's like, it's like, I don't know, it just sounds like something I would enjoy waking up to, like being like, get up early, make some breakfast tacos for the people that RSVP'd or whatever, and then You know, it's kind of like hang out the day, taking care of the grounds or taking care of the building, and then cooking some dinner for everybody at the end of the night and hanging out and drinking.
I always think about like just like being able to wake up when you want, like you choosing to be up at 6 a.m. instead of me being forced to be up at 7 every morning and be like, and it's not an awful job. It's just like, fuck, rinse, repeat. Here we go again. What builder's gonna bitch at me today? Like, it's very mundane, I guess, is what it is. And like for you to make your own schedule, do whatever you want. You own something, like you said, the communal thing of that too. It's like that's the fucking dream, is to be able to run your own shit and not have to answer to anybody or like whatever.
Yeah,
you
I
know,
mean, it's once you've done that, you know, like having my own business for a while. Oh man, it makes you jaded, like when you got to be managed again. You know, like it really is a hard hat to take off. You know, we're like, oh, like this could be more efficient. Where it's like, it's not my thing. You know, it's their thing. They run it how they run it, sort of thing. So it is difficult to go back from that. But you know, any means to an end. You know, like. And what's your dream, dude?
I mean, mine's like the whole Hughes hockey thing, right? Like, I worked for Pro Ambitions for 8-9 years, right? I figured out what you can do, how to get the rinks, bring the price down, whatever. So I've got a whole game plan, if you will, or script that you can look at and be like, okay, this is how it's done. This is the things that I learned from them that suck. Never do those. I do this better or whatever. And like Jeff used to show up to the camp and be like, this isn't fucking Hughes hockey. It's Pro Ambitions. I'm like, no, it's no ambitions. We're the Walmart of fucking hockey camps. Like, you're doing it all cheap. The hats from China, these are $20 each. He's paying for $10 hats. I'm like, spend the extra money to get a quality product so the kids don't have. But that's the thing, right? It's almost like Walmart. Here's some cheap plastic shit. It'll break in 3 months. You got to come back and get another one. So it's like, oh, they'll get another hat next year though. I'm like, why can't they have the hat for 5-10 years? Like, just all those little things. So that's my kind of thing. And like, I could do it here. It's just very expensive. Like for the ice here is $5.50 an hour. Like, that's insane. For me to, you know, run a camp, I'd have to have 60 kids show up.
$550 an hour.
Yeah. And that's one thing that kills me, like, when we do a practice.
How do you build an ice rink?
Yeah, 25 mil is what they put into that rink during COVID,
Never mind.
So it's just like they got to recoup their lost wages from COVID kind of thing. And it's like that price point should probably be like $350, $325. That would make more sense to me. But yeah, that's what I want to do. And then you could do, you know, like Jeff does 420 camps a year for no ambitions. And it's like, that's a lot. But then you have to outsource it. You have to get subs. You have to get coaches that probably aren't good guys.
Yeah,
guys doing coke in the bathroom. It's like, it's in one summer. It's not even the year. It's just the summer, 420 camps. All across America, Canada.
Okay.
It's like he's pumping it out. Maybe back in the day he did 20 a year. Like, I'd be fine with that. I'm not trying to be a millionaire. If it happens, that's awesome. But, like, I'd rather have better quality control and have a really good camp, and those kids are guaranteed to come back. Yeah, we're going to lose some. But, like, I want to make a very quality camp. It doesn't need to be quantity like he is. If I could do 10 camps a year, that would make me more than I make now. It'd be about $100,000 if I just did that. But, like, to pump it out, that's where you're going to stand. Like, we had guys doing fucking, like, black tar heroin and then going in and tying a kid's skates. And I walk in, the guy's shaking as he's tying a 7-year-old's skates. And I'm like, bro, what the fuck's going on here? He's like, oh, man, I'm just having a coffee. I'm like, that's not coffee. What the fuck are you doing? And that's like, I chirp the guy at the end of every podcast. This Mike Maneri guy got my buddy addicted to black tar heroin in Arizona. So, like, eventually me and my friend, whatever, not best friend, but just knew him from working. And I'd be like, hey, man, we got the suite upstairs. He's like, no, I'm going to stay with Mike. I'm like, in the small room? There's only one bed. He's like, oh, I'm just going to sleep on the floor. I'm like, okay, I have a whole extra bed for you in my place. We got a hot tub up there. Like, what's going on? And so then that's where I should have probably noticed. But he just disappeared for 5 years, then messaged me one day. He's like, hey, man, sorry for not ever letting you know, but that dude got me addicted to that. And it's like, I think about it every day still. I'm like, oh, like, I didn't, you know, I've never tried that, so I'm not going to say I know what that feels like. But that's a fucking addiction right there. Like, that's insane. That's not a fun one either. I'm sure there's downsides the next day, you know, fucking miserable or whatever, and then you have to get your fix again. Like, you're stealing from your parents. Like, he's telling me he's taking money out of his mom's wallet and stuff. I'm like, dude, we're 25 years old. At the time, was probably like 25. But, like, dude, you can't be doing that. And, like, then you end up getting, you know, kicked out of the family or, like, become the black sheep. And it's like, it's not you, it's the fucking drug. It's I would assume, right? It's just like, that's insane. And like, I cannot stand Mike Maneri to this day. I want him on the podcast. I sent him the clip where I explained this to the first guy about Mike, and he's like, "Oh, that's funny, dude. You have a podcast. I'll have to be on sometime." I'm like, did you even listen to the clip? I just chirped you for 2 minutes on a live podcast. Like, you ruined my friend's life. Like,
well, I'll tell you what, dude. Like, homie definitely enabled your friend, but
he didn't put it in his veins.
No,
he had to do it himself.
Yeah, dude, and that if your friend pushes off that responsibility onto Mike, then your friend's never gonna get any better at what he's doing, because like owning up to your own shit, man, is like really important in life. Like being able to say, like, yeah, I fucked up, like, and how am I not gonna find myself in this position again? I mean, I used to do a lot of cocaine, dude, and I mean, I'll do it every once in a while, where it's, but like, I don't buy it. And if someone like has it, and they'll be like, "You want some?" I'm like, I don't know, man. I'm gonna watch you for a little while, see how good it is. Yeah, see if you fuck up, dude. Like, and then maybe I'll take a little key bump or something like that. But it's it's knowing that, like, yeah, I like this thing, but like, I'm not gonna let it control my life. It did that for a little while, and it was a lot of fun for a little bit, and eventually, I was lucky enough to wake up one day and be like, I don't want to do this anymore. And that doesn't happen to everybody. But like, I won't blame my fucking drug dealers for me doing my drugs, man. Like, it's just it's wild. It's like blaming tobacco companies for being addicted to cigarettes, where it's like, no, you have an oral fixation. Like you found nicotine, you liked it, and now you like gotta have the strength to get rid of it or whatever. But like, I'm sitting here fucking vaping right now, bro. It's like, no, I'm like, it's one step at a time. Like, and like, I'm sorry for your friend's addiction, but like, it's really up to him. Yeah. And like, also, like, fuck Mike.
Clip it. But yeah, like, one thing that I had to deal with moving here is there's always a common denominator, and it's fucking me. So it's like, hey, your girlfriend left. Hey, your dog died. And I don't think I killed him or anything like that, but just probably didn't help with, I never got his teeth clean. It's not great for your heart. Just some little things. Right? I buy the cheap food, probably not the best for him or whatever. Mm-hmm. But yeah, eventually you're like, oh, I'm the dickhead. I shouldn't be blaming my family, or I didn't make it in hockey, fucking I didn't get enough opportunities. Like, no, dude, you got all the opportunities. You fucked off or you just weren't good enough. So it's like, that's okay. But yeah, eventually you have to look yourself in the fucking mirror and be like, hey, there's one person in all these bad situations. Yeah. You get too drunk with your family, your girlfriend leaves.
It's your
like,
fucking life.
It's you. Dude. It's not them.
It's your life experience, my friend.
Yeah.
Like we're lucky that we're sitting here being able to do this. Yeah. And that is, I'm sure you've found yourself in holes that you were like, oh, how the fuck am I going to get myself out of this hole? It's like, well, my mantra is, I've dug a lot of holes for myself. I've never dug one so deep that I can't get out of, and that's, the proof is in the pudding. I'm sitting right here. I'm still, taking care of myself. I'm not, like, and even being homeless is not a total fucking loss, dude. Like it's, you can get real fucking low and come right back up, dude. Like, going back to the Metropolis, the guy that fucking bought the Metropolis back in the mid-90s. Yeah. Was a fucking crackhead, dude. No joke. Talks about it. Like, he was coming to view the complex recently, and he was talking to one of the other old, community members there about what was their favorite speed. Like, cocaine, speed, like meth. Like, oh yeah, no, I was a cokehead for sure, dude. Like, couldn't do meth, sort of thing. But this guy's in a business suit, like, and he's got 2 properties here in Austin. He's got some properties out in California. He righted his ship. And that's the thing, is like, like, you gotta have the confidence in yourself to right your ship, and you do, like, you're sitting here doing this right now, like you're working through the pain of ending a long relationship and possibly starting a new one. That's commendable, and that's what I'm saying is, like, like yes, you are like, man, it's everything, it's all me. It's like, oh yeah, it's your life experience, brother, man. Like, and we kind of, like, do our little what is it where you have the circles that overlap?
Meet 'em in the middle.
Yeah, like, like we have our, everybody, we're all kind of mingling and mixing and bumping off each other, but like this is yours, like this is your experience, and you should, if you can figure out how to dictate how your life goes, you should take the reins on that, man. And if that means I'm gonna hurt someone's feelings by breaking up with them because I don't feel like this is working out, that's, if it's I'm gonna do heroin for a while and then get off heroin, and that's gonna be my strength. That's how I find my strength to do other things. Is I was able to kick that habit.
Yeah.
It's all different stories, and like hopefully the people that we care about in our lives, find the strength they need when they need it. So like if your friend is still doing that shit, hopefully one day he'll find the strength before it kills him.
No, he's totally clean now. Got a wife, kids.
Damn, dude. Look at that, bro.
Yeah, it's
hey, maybe Mike put him in the place he needed to be.
Yeah, took him all the way down to the depths.
Yeah. Shit, dude. It's not how I want to go.
Mm-hmm.
That's not how I want to figure things out. But maybe I've known plenty of people that have to hit rock bottom before they actually start taking a hard look in the mirror and being like, what do I want to do? Who do I want to be? What are my dreams?
I've got so many buddies too. Not a lot, a handful, right? But they feel like they're stuck, can't get out of the hole. Whatever it is, like fuck, this odd job, this thing, like just bouncing around. Like I can't get the fuck out of this hole. It's not that they're broke or they're in loan debt or anything like that. It's just like I can't get ahead. And I'm like, I get that. Like, I know that you're working 3 jobs and you're barely affording the bills, but you're still doing that. Like you said, commendable. Like, at least you're fucking doing that.
Well, it's not paying off as fast as they want.
Yeah.
And that's the patience part. That's the, hey, you have to be patient with yourself. Like, I have to do that all the time because, like, I'm bringing myself back up from getting laid off and being unemployed for 2 months. And, man, I felt pretty bad for a while, like not happy with myself and a little depressed, laying in bed too long. It's cheaper to be asleep than it is to be awake, sort of thing, but like at some point you gotta put your adult pants back on and go like, hey, that's not gonna get me anywhere but lower. It's gonna make me feel worse if I keep doing this. And like, I guess it's just like, again, how far are you gonna, like, your friends that are, they're trying and trying and trying. It's like, hey man, you're trying, and guess what? It might be hard for a long time. Not everybody gets a break, as soon as they need it or as soon as they want it. And man, some people might fail. But like, the fact that they're trying and they're working 3 jobs, they're not in a hole anymore. Like they're just not moving up.
Yeah.
Where it's like, and if it is like, oh, I can't afford my rent, where it's like, well, shit, man, that is not something you can really control. Like, get through your lease, try to find someplace cheaper, downsize, minimalize, and that sucks, dude. And maybe it shouldn't be that way in this, society we live in now, in this prosperous time, but like, that's how it is. You live in, if you, like, I know so many people that are broke because they live in Austin. Yeah. I'm one of them.
Same.
I could be somewhere else, way more comfortable, but I really like the life I've built here. I like the people I get to see every day or whenever I want to. Like, it's still kind of got a small town, big town feel. Oh
yeah, people come here and they're like, "This is Austin." I'm like, yeah, it's not. We're not like New York. Like we got a little downtown area, but like it's not. It's all farmland. It's still like
it's like you don't have to drive too far to get out. And we get a little spoiled because we're like, oh my god, it takes me 35 minutes to get from South Austin to Georgetown. What the fuck? I can't go out there. Where it's like, that's just my world got a little smaller and I got a little bit more insular. Mm-hmm. And it's like, no, it's really not that bad because it used to take 35 minutes to go from South Houston to downtown, and that's only halfway there.
Like some people can go to a different country in 35 minutes of driving.
Yeah,
That's like the European crazy. But Texas is ridiculous. I mean, I remember driving from Maryland to Arizona, and I came down, saw my family, but just that little gap from side to side in this state, even up down, was it 16, 17, 18 hours just to get from the tip to the top or left to right? It's like this is not, this is its own country right here. It's not even
Yeah,
a fucking.
I drove to New Mexico recently with the Taos.
It was in like 25 hours or something.
No,
Am I talking about
13 and a half.
Yeah, I was talking about Tahoe.
So, but 9 hours were in Texas.
Yeah.
And then it was like 3.5 or like 4.5 hours. No, it wasn't even that. It might have to be like 10 hours in Texas once you cross the border, and that's like to the middle of New Mexico.
Mm.
It took me like 4.5 hours or 3.5 hours to get up there, get up to Taos, where it's like.
Did you go snowboarding or you just hanging out?
No, we wanted to. It was my buddy's birthday, and he happened to get 3 days off in a row for his birthday, and he was like, I asked him what he wanted for his birthday. He's like, I want to go find a hot spring. And so we just Googled where's the nearest hot spring, and it was Taos.
20 hours away.
Yeah, and I was like, all right, man. Well, I had my own business at the time, so I just kind of cleared my schedule. I was like, let's go, dude. And getting back to that, man. When you can do things like that, when you're like, I'm gonna dip for 3 days, and like my employer's not gonna care because I'm my employer. Like it's a very nice feeling, and I really hope one day everyone gets to feel that bit of freedom, because like that really, like the lives we're living right now in this society are we're not really built for them yet. Evolutionary wise, like mentally we're not built to grind and grind and grind and grind and maybe see a return if we're grinding in the right direction. It bothers me a little bit, but I can't think about it too much because what are you gonna fucking do?
I just think about like we work 40 hours a fucking week. Like they're now proposing 4-day work week. I don't know if that's gonna work in construction, but it's like that's crazy that we take up that much time in a week when we're supposed to just be out in the wild doing your thing, like procreating, whatever it is. Like we're just
40 hours a week is like the minimum.
Yeah.
For some people, this guy I'm looking to go into business with, like he works 6 days a week, and I'm like, I hope you understand that that's not my mantra. Like, I don't have 3 kids and a wife. And even if I did, I don't want to spend more time with them. And I should be allowed it. That's how you create a good society. Is like you create interpersonal relationships. You get to know people. You start to understand differences. And like, I agree, there has to be people working. There has to be, the gears got to keep turning. Yeah. But like, there's got to be a better way to give people back some of their literal lifetime, so that the human experience also evolves and grows as our technology and society and all the things we have to offer. It's like, oh, you have better healthcare. It's like, well, hey, no one can afford it. Like, it's like, cool, that's awesome. That's really dope for those that can, and like no hate on the people that have really good health insurance or can take care of all that shit. It's that it's economically unavailable to so many people. That's the problem. But I don't want to go into all that shit because man, talk about multifaceted, like that's it. But it's hard to be happy these days, and I think that part of being happy is allowing yourself time to be with yourself and to get to know yourself better. Like, you seem to be a man that knows really what they want. You're really I'm not as into anything as you are into hockey. And that is super cool. Like, I really enjoy meeting people that are like, nah, this is like what I love this shit, dude. It's what I eat and breathe. Where it's like, that is super cool. Like, I kind of wish I had that. Like, I kind of spread the peanut butter pretty thin when it comes to like hobbies and like what I find fun, and that makes it really easy to not do any of it. Because it's not, I don't have really strong passions for any one single thing. But I also enjoy my downtime where it's like I'm not doing anything. Like when I am doing something, I'm fully there. And that can get mentally exhausting, and being able to just like let your mind rest. I feel like there's something in that too. If it's like, hey, if you just want to fucking be able to sit on your porch and have a couple beers and hang out with your animal or your wife or your kids or your friends or whatever, dude. That is, again, that's the human experience. It's something people find enjoyable and gives them, enriches their life. Like, in communication. I mean, like, you don't talk to anybody else really outside of hockey and work, except on the podcast or through text or whatever. And like, it's.
Well, I've had people say like, "Oh man, you should go to therapy. It's great. If you're in that, that's cool. I don't judge or whatever. But this is my therapy. I don't need to pay a guy $250. I mean, I'm sure they got better techniques and blah blah blah. But like, this is kind of that therapy, or just talking to somebody I haven't talked to in 12 years, or like whatever. Just like, hey, what's going on with you? How are your kids? Whatever it is. But yeah, I'm just like, I'm not gonna go to some place, or even like the BetterHelp or whatever sponsor the show, please. But like,
I've heard some stuff.
I don't want to get on a video and then they take that and send. I'm like, you break down on there and like, oh, this is funny. Let me send it to my buddies, because I imagine there's people like me that are doing.
Well, my man, like, that is definitely would be super fucking unprofessional and get someone's ass fired. But like, I mean, like, the therapy, yes, is for some people. I've thought about going to a therapist, but like, and it probably could help me, like, but it's a little too expensive. It's it's time consuming, and you have to. I feel like in a way you have to be open. This is the first time I've ever done anything like this. Just talking in front of a camera and having a microphone for my face. I thought I was gonna be nervous. And I feel like maybe going to a therapist is kind of like that. Yeah. It's scary at first, then you step in, you sit down, and you're just talking to someone. It's someone that doesn't even fucking know you, dude. Yeah. You can say whatever you want, and ain't getting around.
I do like that they can be like unbiased too. They don't know who the fuck you are. You show up, they start asking you questions, you break it down to whatever is your traumas and all that bullshit. But yeah, they can actually look at you and be like, actually, that's your fault that happened. You're like, what? Like, I feel like that'd be like a nice little wake up.
Doesn't make unjustify how you feel, but like that's something that's in your control, sort of thing. Like, yeah. And I mean, I'm gonna go back to the Metropolis. I've met a lot of, like, I'm gonna say good men, because like some of the best friends I've met there, and it's because I feel comfortable opening up to them. Yeah. Like, if I have strong emotions or whatever, or whatever it may be, being able to just feel comfortable talking to someone about it who's gonna listen and shoot me straight, like. And it's probably not equal to therapy, because, like you said, unbiased, someone that has no idea who you are, they're getting to know you, and they're saying, well, being on the outside, it can kind of tell you maybe you're not looking at it this way, sort of thing. But I think therapy is pretty important, and I think that one of the things that we lack when we are so separated from each other, when you're not going across the street and talking to your neighbors, when you're not, like. It's because we don't have to. Yeah. Like it's, you could find all the entertainment you want on that fucking black screen over there, dude. Like you can, but this, like the talking back and forth, it makes, it lets your brain just flow. Like, and I feel like that's when you start kind of like, maybe reaching a little bit deeper, feel more comfortable unpacking things, and being like, oh shit, like where did that come from, or like why do I feel like this when I think about that, or I don't know, like. But
I feel like I've just like, a lot of bad stuff happened to me in early life, and you just throw that in the back. Well, it's coming back soon, bud. Like, it's gonna get there.
Well, eventually,
it's gonna come back to you. It's like you can't just suppress everything and just because eventually it's gonna come out, and it's probably not gonna, you keep it, and fucking
you
blow
may not
up.
Be prepared.
Like, it's like fuck, and then you say some things you're not supposed to, or blow up a situation that shouldn't even have gone there. Like, I'm walking through HEB today just to go take a piss and grab some sparkling water, and I hear these employees in the back just fucking going at it. Like, they weren't coming at him. He's just fucking ripping everybody a new one, and I'm like, that's probably not even about them. It's probably him, or something happened this morning, or whatever. And it's like, he's just projecting onto these people about some shitty thing that happened to him, or whatever happened. It's just like his
current like situation in life is just a little too rough for him, and he's like, fuck.
And I'm like, he's probably gonna lose his job.
Well,
it's gonna suck.
I mean, dude, I struggle with that. Like, I'm working part-time right now, like just fucking washing dishes, because I don't want to have like the job. my supplementary income, I don't want it to be something I have to think about, you know, like, but going back into the workforce like that, I'm working with fucking, like, teenagers, bro, again, and, like, people in their young 20s, where it's like, I have too high expectations for my coworkers, where it's like, you know, like, I'm working my butt off trying to get things done, and they're talking, and, like, instead of the first day, I got frustrated. Then I realized, you know, well, I talked to some of my friends, and I was like, man, what the fuck, dude? And they're like, bro, it's like, don't take it so seriously. Like it's one of those things where you have to be able to kind of have an adjustment knob, like where, you know, like, I mean, I imagine the guy. I'm just imagining the guy at HEB in my position, where it's like, what the fuck? Like, you know, I'm trying to make some extra income, you know, like, and it just, nothing seems to be working, and I'm frustrated at that. Not the fact that, like, the dishes are piling up, or, like, these guys are over there talking, whatever. It's like, that's not a real problem in life. That's like a fucking no big deal. They're gonna get done. It's not brain surgery. No one's life's on the line. This is not serious shit. You know, it's fucking masonry. Like, it's like, hey, well,
just some
bad masonry can, yeah. But, like, you know, but it's really, it's at the end of the day, it's like, what are you getting frustrated about? It's not those little things that are piling up. It's that one thing you're not really either able to control, or, like, you're frustrated because you keep doing, or you keep finding you're winding up in the same place, and you're like, what am I doing wrong? Like, you know, like, I'm unhappy. Like, and it's like, well, join the fucking club. But, like, you know, it's, but in a way, like, take solace in that. Like, we're all struggling. We're all, you know, trying to figure it out, and, you know, in a way, it is kind of like a club in a way, where it's like, yeah, dude, like, man, I get frustrated, and things don't make sense sometimes to me, and I don't know how to make sense of them, but, like, if I just chill for, like, 20-30 minutes, and I don't think about it, and I don't let it, like, and just invade my thoughts, generally, it's not as big of a deal as I thought it was. It's like, okay, there are steps to do these things, or there is a decision I need to make. It might be a hard one, may not be comfortable to do, but I probably have to do this. Like, you know, like, it's, but, you know, general societal frustration is, like, at an all-time high in my opinion. Like,
yeah, COVID probably didn't help that. I feel like everyone was locked up, all this bullshit, get down on yourself, whatever, scared to go outside, whatever it is. But, like, I have a little quote there on my ASU D1 Bike Club pamphlet that I put in there. It's not even from my friend. I just said it was his quote, but it's fucking, I don't know, Gandhi or some shit. Life is too short to take seriously.
I like that.
It's like, it's not that big of a deal. It's just, and
all
some
right.
things are.
Well, I've got a question for you, but I'm going to see if we can make this the last.
Yeah, we'll kick it in 8 minutes, you're done.
No, fuck that, dude. Like, when we're done with this, but, again, just like all your other podcasts, I gotta pee. But let's. What do you think happens at the end?
So, I'm gonna get deep on you. I've been looking at this fifth dimension now that they say is real. It's a thing. It's where you go. You know, energy can't be stopped. It just keeps going after the life or whatever your soul leaves or whatever you call it. I think there's a fifth dimension. That was my biggest fear in life, was dying. Like, it's real easy. You know, when I'm driving that truck around all day in 1431, I'm freaking out when I'm going down that hill every time, because trailers, it's only 2 lanes, and you're just like, oh shit. Like, if I'm not paying attention, I'm not in that right lane where it's on the side.
Dude, driving is one of those higher anxiety, like, holy shit.
And that's my risk, right? Because I don't get on the roofs. I don't stand underneath the stone when no hard hat on.
You're just on the roads more than anybody else.
Yeah, just driving. And that's why sometimes I just stay in the neighborhood. Unless somebody's calling me, I got to go get this or go to Lowe's or whatever, I'm going to stay there because I'm mitigating my risks. I don't want to be on those roads with drunks or, like, whatever, right? A lot of people work from home, had a few beers, not paying attention, texting, and I'm in the fucking gutter. So it's like, that's the thing. But this fifth dimension whole thing is like, that's where you go when it's over. You're still stuck around here. You don't get another bodily form that I know of, right? I don't know if there's, you know, the Indian religion of, like,
reincarnation.
You know, reincarnation. It's like, maybe, I don't know. Like, sometimes, you know, deja vu, or, you know, just like, this has happened before. And, like, I'm already,
yeah, I mean,
like, when that pops in, I'm like, that's the fifth, or maybe, like, reincarnate. I have no idea, but that's what I hope that happens, because I don't want to fucking end this ride. It's fucking awesome.
Do you fear death?
Not anymore. After I listened to Theo Vaughn's podcast with Dr. Death, they call him. It's not his real name, but he's been going into these near-death experiences, and most people feel like they're above themselves. And I've had two so many times. Like, I zipped myself up as a kid, and my mom's making dinner in Buffalo, and I'm like, "Hey, Mom, I'm playing tag. I'm gonna go hide and seek, whatever." I go up and zip myself into a like a duffel bag. And then, there's not... the zipper's on the outside? Like, I can't get out of here. Shit myself, everything. And I was, I would say 4 or 5. And I could see myself from above at that age. And, like, that was the first time. And so he says that all these stories from around the world, everyone feels the same thing. It's almost an out-of-body experience. You're kind of watching yourself there. And so that's what I hope I get to fly into the
What did you feel like? When, like...
I was like, I wish I could help that kid.
Was it... what? Yeah. So what I think ego death is a big part of that, and like because I've had an anaphylactic reaction before and like suffocated in my house. Like my girlfriend was there at the time, and like paramedics were coming, but like I was up in the corner of the room, dude. I was like watching the scene, and it was like peaceful. But like it took me a second to realize what I was seeing. I was like kind of up there, like, huh. And I was like, oh shit, that's me. but it wasn't like it was calm, and I was talking about earlier, like, like how you learn lessons the hard way. I learned you need to wear a bicycle helmet because I cracked my fucking skull open once and watched my body tumble down a hill from above, and it was just kind of like weird, like I saw it. It was like watching a movie.
Yeah.
But I wasn't the actor.
Did you feel like it was slow motion too? That's how I felt. I felt like the bag. I'm like struggling in the bag, but looking at it, it's like it's slower. I felt like
time was not as important. Like I don't know if it was slow motion as much as it was like again like watching something without like, because I've listened to a lot of like OBE or near death experience things, and one of the common things is that peace, that like removal of like basically every bodily feeling. Like you're not hungry, you're not thirsty, you're not scared, you're not anything. You're just there, and that's kind of what I experienced, was like just being there and like not being able to really tell how much time had passed, and it felt like a flash sort of thing. Yeah. Like it didn't feel like a long time I was in that place. Didn't have the whole light or whatever, like, although I will say when I was like passing out from anaphylaxis, I had the Looney Tunes like I think it was closing in. I was like trying to like one eye open, like stare out of a tunnel, but like like it was. I feel like that's where I realized that like there's something else going on, like we're here, we're adding to something. We're a bit of a special thing in this existence. Like I feel like and not in like a hubris way, like but like like, oh, we're light beings or whatever. It's like, no, I feel like like existence is a privilege in what we're doing, like this life we're living, all the mistakes, all the joy, all the happiness, all the sadness, everything, death even is a part of a larger functional system, and we're lucky enough to inhabit the vessel, like I don't know if I want to call it a soul, but kind of like that, where it's like there is some, like, me is not this body, like I've been outside of it before, like but that wasn't me. Me is this body, but like the energy that I'm adding to is not necessarily John Nelson. That's the ego. That's my life experiences, but from my perspective.
Yeah. But
like the things that I'm learning and the energy I'm putting forth into the world, and the the anger and the hate and the love and the compassion that you give to people, and all that sharing of energy is kind of like what existence is really, and it kind of which makes me get a little bit more upset about like how we live. Yeah. But like whatever.
So I've got an experience, right? You tell me if I'm wrong. Dogs don't talk, right? So I was like, I'm going to put out my first podcast. I'd already recorded maybe 4. And so I was like, I'm just going to backdate these and just like put them at whenever I get a chance or whatever. I was editing them myself at the time, so I was like, fuck, this takes a lot longer than I thought. So now I pay people to do that for me. But I was sitting at that desk out there, and I was like, oh, we'll put this out February 18th, my birthday, I'll be in Nashville, click the button, boom, I'm like, perfect, right? And then it wasn't my voice. I'm pretty sure it was Grizz. And it was the day that he died, 1 year from the day that he died. And it was like, do it, bitch. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, it was like someone was talking to me, but
like
it wasn't...
you felt like you heard...
yeah, like, not a voice I'd never heard, because he's a dog, and not barking. Like, it's just... And it was like, do it, bitch. The fuck? What are you doing? Just press send. And I was like, boom. And I was like, wow, what the hell is that? Like, this is my uncle, someone that's passed away, come in here and be like, fucking just do it. You got to start sometime, or like, let's get the ball rolling on this. And it was just like, fucked me up, because I looked at the date and I was like, this is the exact day and almost the exact time that he died. Like,
my mom told me about this really close friend of hers, Rose.
Mm-hmm.
Battled cancer for a long time. I remember as I grew up in the church, and, you know, one of the things that the church community would do would be, like, when someone's sick, you know, you cook meals for them. You cook meals for the family. And so, like, we spent a lot of time, like, making big meals for Rose's family so that she didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
And my mom and her were really close friends. I remember this as a child. One of the things that, I don't want to say freaked me out, but, like, you know what really didn't freak me out as a kid was when my mom told me that Rose called her after she died. Like, they used to have this thing where, like, you know, Rose would come hang out at our house, and me, my mom, and my sister would go over to her house, and she would call, let the phone ring once, and hang up, just to let Rose know or my mom know that they got home safe. And, but, like, my mom got that call, you know, after Rose died. Phone rang, caller ID, baby, like, you know, and stopped ringing. She's like, what the fuck? Like, it wasn't Rose's husband, you know. It's just a weird, you know. And, like, I don't fucking know what you do with that information, but it makes me, like, I don't fear death. I'm really curious about the afterlife, though. Yeah. And I think that I don't think it's just gonna be even if it is just blackness or whatever. Like, what a fucking wild ride, dude. Like, you know, it's I don't know. It's just one of those things where it's like, man, what a curious thing. And, like, you know, it's weird how so many religions kind of describe something kind of similar. I think Christianity's got a little wrong. Oh, you're going to get a mansion for how much, like, how big is your love for God? Like, well, that's how big your mansion's going to be. How much did you tithe? Like, I feel like that's a bit, it's not very biblical, is what I'll say. Like, you know, I've actually started reading the Bible because my mom is very, very religious, and she always wants to talk to me about, like, you know, she's afraid I'm gonna burn in hell, and I've told her to just stop fucking saying that. But, like, you know, like, it's theology is very interesting because, like, it's been around way long time, dude, and, like, it's I feel like it's, you know, a lot of theology is just a good standard for people to live good lives. But, like, the idea that, like, man, like, the reason I'm reading the Bible is because, like, I think the Old Testament is very fucking interesting because mad gods, fucking pillars of salt, like, that's religion. That's some crazy shit where it's like, hey, this is exactly what you don't want to be in control of you. Like, you know, and then they revised it. No, all you gotta do is believe in Jesus. You know, and it's like, oh, okay, like, you know, like, it all seems a little too convenient to where it's like, oh, like there's this, like, little bitty construct that you, like, all you have to do is, like, funnel your love one direction and you know, pray and ask for forgiveness, and no matter what it is. But, you know, like, I don't mind Christians, like, you know, like, when I'm reading the Bibles, because I think there are some historically, like, you know, if you look across, like, geographically across the world, there are things talked about in that book that seemed to have some historical, like, evidence. Yeah. Where it's like, that's kind of cool, you know, like, not really Moses part in the Red Sea, like, that shit has been proven to be like, well, it wasn't the Red Sea, it was like I can't remember, it was like the Adriatic Sea or something like that, where it's like, it's a very low sea, and if high winds come through, it empties out. It's kind of like the fucking canals in Venice.
Yeah.
During certain conditions, they empty because tide is so low and the winds push all the water away, and then it comes back. Where it's like, but it's to me, it's worth it to learn more about the religion, so that I can better communicate with my mom about her religion, because I don't ever want to take her faith away.
Yeah.
Like, you can believe what you want to believe as long as it doesn't fucking hurt anybody, and like, because like one cool thing that I can agree with about Christians is I don't think death is the end, and like that's fun. It's fun to talk about that, It's just.
I always wonder, like, oh, you get to the pearly gates and they tell you yay or nay, and you're like, I don't feel like that's
Fuck that, dude.
like 10 to 12. Maybe I was better than I was 12 to 24, and then maybe I came back and got better, and so I'm just getting judged as a whole. Is it like a spot that they found? Oh man, look at this reel, and it's just bad things I've done. I'm like, what about the good shit though? What about the guys that I got jobs or like did whatever for? Like, I feel like that's just. Seems a little out there. I don't know if that's even in the Bible. I assume it's not. This is just maybe like movies and television that have told us that.
Like I've purchased 2 Bibles and I've not found one that is like chronological without having interpretations.
Yeah.
So you read 2 pages of verse and then it's 4 pages of interpretations and like workbook stuff where it's like I don't fucking want that. Like I've been told, well, go buy a translated Torah. Because the Torah talks about the Nephilim and the Seraphim and all these like fucking.
Torah's what, Muslim?
I said Jewish.
Okay, Jewish.
But like it's got all like the cool like paranormal aspects of the Old Testament where it's like, yeah, bro, there were angels that were fucking people on Earth and like they made a half race of like they're called the Nephilim and they're like giants and it's like, this is in y'all's book but not in their book when it's supposedly the same fucking book. Like what the fuck, dude? Like discrepancies much like but like that's. I just find that shit fun because, like, I think that, going back to that fifth dimension thing, like, I think that, like, there's a lot going on in this world that we have a hard time explaining.
Yeah.
And especially when it comes to how people interpret things or, like, like, you're talking about fucking deja vu. Like, man, like, have you ever had a dream I've had a couple of just very mundane dreams. Where I woke up, I remembered them, and I was like, that was boring. And then, months, years later, holy shit, this was my dream. Like, what the fuck? Like, mundane. Something mundane, but, like, I like to look at that as, like, it's like an internal checkpoint.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, shit, like, I might not have gotten here if I had done anything different. Sort of thing, where it's like, maybe I'm just doing the right thing, and that's why I'm kind of, like, getting this, like, little, like, boop, like, I don't know. I never took you for someone that thought about that kind of stuff. Like I've got few friends that even want to consider thinking about that because it's I guess I don't know. Weird.
Yeah, it's not like I searched it out either. I just like Theo Vaughn, he's funny. Dr. Death, what the fuck is this? And then I just put it on the car while I'm driving around the neighborhoods. But I'm just like wow, like because I didn't like the answers I was getting when you're like, oh, it's just black, that's it, you're done. I'm like, I don't like that. It doesn't make sense. And then, like, paranormal stuff, whatever, like, bookshelf moves or something, and nothing's going on in the house, there's no earthquake, and you're like, fuck was that? Why'd that book get pulled out? And you go look at the book, you're like, what the fuck? Like, just little things like that. I was like, I just need somebody to not numb that pain or that thought of, oh, it's just black and that's it, and it's over. It's like, when I heard that, I was like, it might not be true, but, like, do you
feel like it made more sense?
Yeah, it helped me just like chill. It was like okay, like it was weekly. I'd think about that, and I have to shut myself down.
I say as long as those kind of things aren't hurting you, like embrace it if it makes you fucking feel better.
All right, well, I'm gonna get John out of here. Mike Maneri,
thank you, Kyle.
You. My friend, always good to talk.
Yeah.
What the hell? This is our hell. As long as we look good. No one else can tell. Generation K.